ready now.
Cast your minds back to 1996, some 25 years ago. Yours truly wasn't even 2 years old, the Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1 were both well over a year old, and Nintendo would finally join their contemporaries with the Japanese launch of the Nintendo 64 in June. It proved a period of great change, as 3D became the big buzzword and 2D, as well as certain genres which thrived in that plane, were deemed passé. But jumping forward 25 years, and the landscape is near unrecognisable. Sega aren't even in the console market, Nintendo struck gold with the Switch, Sony is on its 5th PlayStation, and Microsoft would enter the fray with the Xbox. But what has improved about gaming in the past 25 years? And what was better in the past? We'll get the blindingly obvious one out of the way, the graphics. Heck, the jump between the PS1 and 2 was astronomical, replacing smudgy potato faces with more human expressions and shapes. The gen after saw even further refinement, with techniques like face scanning adding an uncanny realism to the likes of LA Noire. Now, games are bordering on photorealistic. And while you can argue if the balance between gameplay and visual quality has been lost, it's still light years ahead. And aspects like improved frame rates and draw distances do refine mechanical aspects, as well as open the door to the likes of virtual reality. But it can also bolster the old, with stunning pixel art taking advantage of system power and creativity in spades. But gamers also gain the benefit of improved accessibility compared to generations past. More localization and homegrown campaigns see obscurities given that extra chance, such as the Yakuza series resurgence on PS4 and later Xbox. Digital storefronts and their popularity allow for lower publishing costs, in part a huge factor for the wave of indie releases, and mean there is less risk for fringe releases. Efforts for physical distribution are also improving, with limited run serving as a way to keep games alive, especially with the litany of PS Vita physical SKUs. Merge Games, P-Cube and other publishers aid this too. And with streaming services surging in popularity for movie and television, gamers gain benefits through Game Pass and PlayStation Now, which allows you to try out dozens of games for a monthly fee, rather than commit to a full price release or being forced to wait for discounts. But not all is rosy. These trends and changes had led to an increase in mercenary practices by larger publishers. Rampant DLCs and microtransactions turn games into pay to win, which would be fine, except games still often carry a £50 to £70 price. It has also cannibalised the art of unlockable features, with paid cosmetics diminishing those who unlock through actual effort. The digital storefronts have also shown fragility, with the closure of the Wii shop and threatened shutting of the PS3 Vita stores shining how much can be lost with a Switch flip. DLCs often see basic, unsatisfying content charged at a premium. AAAs will launch with rampant bugs that get patched after launch, and the increased pricing of £70 doesn't mesh with digital sales that often drop prices by mere pounds compared to retail store discounts. Perhaps worse is a sense of creative stagnation. This generation has seen a huge dependency on remasters and ports, which are fine for older 5th or 6th gen games, but feel pointless when something from a gen before, like Dead Island, is getting this treatment. It could be argued as playing on fan service too much, forcing gamers to pay for the same games to greenlight sequels. AAAs have seen a stale focus on open worlds which, although tapped into brilliantly by the likes of Horizon Zero Dawn, can often see the pieces not fitting together and leave experiences feeling hollow. While indies can offer a counterpunch to this, they can feel under-promoted, as highlighted by devs showcasing how difficult it was to find their game on the PlayStation Store. The approach of AAAs seems like a safer approach due to rising costs, but perhaps this balloon is close to burst, and it feels like games are increasingly close to suffering from continuous design by committee. As always, I submitted this question to people on Twitter, and you guys come back with some fantastic responses. Like before, I'll put their links in the description below because I want you to check all of these guys out as they make some absolutely wonderful content. The first of these user picks comes from @SeanShaunson YouTube. He does some absolutely wonderful content on his channel, so please go and check him out. He writes, improved, better focus on preservation, YouTube, Twitch and social media etc. allowing gamers to connect more easily, online gaming, and accessibility options making gaming more approachable for everybody. Worse, he writes, hyperinflation of the retro game market, console tribalism, games that would include unlockable content that instead have that content monetized through DLC, live service and open world game burnout, and games requiring an online connection for single player content. Some absolutely brilliant points there. The next user picks comes from @AJC2424 or Anthony Cox. He says better, general prices especially in sales, accessibility in online stores, online multiplayer brings global audiences together, and visuals and effects. Worse, broken games at launch, taking months to fix. Local multiplayer is all but dead, and unnecessary forced online. Next up is Dave and Rocky @DaveNolan17. Who's a good boy, Rocky? Who's a good boy? Anyway, he writes better, availability of games, access to diverse genres, game preservation, online play, story DLC to expand a game, and overall presentation. Worse, microtransaction, live service games, over-reliance on patches, and sacrificing one player for online. Next pick comes from TPE Overlord @PixelEmpire, aka Tom. He writes better, the benefits of both physical collections and digital indie releases. Incredible tech advances, online co-op. Worse, loads of remasters, DLC, microtransactions, loot boxes, re-releases. The idea a big game must be exploited for years to come to justify its creation. Absolutely agree with you there, mate. Next one comes from @TallGamingMan, aka a fellow Shane. He writes, better, bigger budgets, online and digital media. Worse, DLC, loot boxes, releasing broken games, online connection required games. Spot on, buddy. This one comes from fellow reviewer RetroGameRater, who writes, from an objective perspective, although my nostalgia would like to convince me otherwise, all aspects of gaming have improved greatly. The production values, variety, and accessibility of games are much better today. From a subjective perspective, I wish every game was a story-driven action-adventure title, roughly 8 to 12 hours in length, like we saw in the early 2000s. But as every industry grows, it also changes, because the audience is no longer just people like me who want to just stab and shoot stuff. I suppose the better way of answering this question would be to say that gaming was better 25 years ago for a very specific group of people that were drawn to what the industry produced at the time. There is an argument to be made that gaming is worse for this specific group now. However, I firmly believe that we've now reached a point where no matter who you are or what you're into, you can find a game that's for you. I think that's pretty cool. The penultimate pick comes from James at Segaholic. How has it improved? Gaming is more respected and seen as a true art form, not a toy. Yet while games have evolved into Hollywood-level masterpieces, it hasn't forgotten its roots and 2D gaming is respected again. What's worse, unfinished games launching and multiple patches. It's not a bedroom hobby anymore, although many gamers do game in their bedrooms, but the console has become as common in the living room as a skybox. And it's really heartwarming to see the rush back to appreciate 2D classics after the mid-90s race to 3D. Spot on, mate, spot on. Now I think I've saved the best for last, an ultra mega 2-part answer from Dan at swooper_D. Now first of all, this is what's good. Gaming is better, accepted and more accessible than ever, which has allowed the hobby to flourish and finally be well regarded as an art form. Games continue to grow more impressive both visually and in terms of size and complexity. AAA big budget games continue to push boundaries, but the indie scene has grown and flourished too. While many will bemoan digital distribution, you can't deny that it has opened doors for many innovations. Game Pass is a literal game changer, and games like Telltale's Walking Dead would not have had success without it. It has also played a huge part in the indie scene growing. With the 3 big platform holders doing different things, there's more choice than ever now in what we play and how we consume it, whether you're a collector or you just want to play the games. The bad. A lot of the above comes with caveats. Most notably, digital distribution has given us season passes of various quality, loot boxes, microtransactions, and have just left a bad taste in the mouth of many. Then you have things like the PS3 store almost being closed, and it raises a red flag for the future of digital games, especially those that see themselves withdrawn from the market for licensing issues. It has also meant that just about every game has a day one patch, and has meant that some staggeringly bad games have been committed to disc, such as Street Fighter V, No Man's Sky, and Cyberpunk, requiring a lot of patching later. Budgets too are a double-edged sword, with huge awesome looking titles that straddle the line between success and studio killing failure with each release. Overall, pretty happy where gaming is and where it's going now, which is a reversal of where I was 5 to 8 years ago. I think we'll leave it about there, but thank you so much for all those brilliant answers. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also make sure you check out all of these people in the description because they're bloody fantastic. See you soon.